Hey y'all, before we start here, I wanted to just share something, since you guys want me to vlog so much, from my life, so you can really realize how boring my life is. Just kidding. But this plant right here I had it for months, and it was sitting on my desk, right where I work, and it was finally it completely died. Like, I just couldn't keep it alive. It completely died. And so I put it outside so that it could, get sunlight. And I was like, maybe it'll wake up. But it didn't, right? It just got more dead, and it turned like completely brown and black. It was like completely dead. You can still see that it has like some, dead leaves in it. But I brought it in one day, and I brought it in because I was going to throw it out, right? Finally. And then I woke up the next day and look, oh my God. Pandemic magic. Can you believe this? I guess it was really an indoor plant, but for some reason it just like came alive. Okay. All right. So that's that. Anyway, how are you guys? I want to start by just acknowledging that by now you should have done the do now, which was to watch the little video clip about the life of George Orwell. Right? You guys did? Okay. It was a pretty entertaining little snippet of his life. As you know, he's written some books that you guys might like. He wrote 1984, he wrote Animal Farm, and he's just really great. As you probably know, he's known as one of the most famous kind of political commentators of his time. He was really outspoken about oppression and police states, and I just think this story, Shooting an Elephant, is really relevant. I'm healthy, don't worry. And really cool. So I'm super excited to read this. And I know I get excited about a lot of books you guys don't like, but I'm really excited for this one. So let's pull up now our Realize Readers, okay? So remember, greendot.org/Pearson, okay? Just waiting. Okay, good. And we click the Pearson Realize icon, like it says in the slide that has the screenshots for you that you can look through. We're gonna go click the green Browse button. We're gonna click California Grade 12, and then the Student Edition Virtual Textbook. We're gonna click on that. It'll say Open in a new window. You're gonna click on that. Okay. Okay, just waiting for it to load now. Okay, let's see. Okay, so now we're gonna go to menu, remember? Table of contents, all the way down. You have Unit 6, which is Finding a Home, our unit all about finding a home. And then I believe you are going to go to Whole Class Learning and then click Shooting an Elephant, okay? And I do want to warn you, if, animal violence against animals makes you a little squirmy, this might be a little difficult for you. Nobody likes animal violence, but that's really just happens at the end. So just a trigger warning for all who are reading and who are really, really just, grossed out, or, it makes you really sad to see animal violence. It does, obviously, like I said, to many good people, including myself. But it's only a little bit, and it's at the end. So let's start. I'm going to do a model of a guided reading for the first 2 paragraphs. And today we want to read up to paragraph 6. Now the paragraphs are fairly long in this one, so bear with me, and we are going to do our best I'm going to do at least 4 paragraphs with you all together during this lesson, and then we will obviously discuss in our meetup as well. Okay, so just to give you a little context about the story, it has to do with George Orwell. He's writing about himself, right? This is not fiction, supposedly. I think parts of it are fictionalized, but he's writing about himself, right? And he's talking about when he was a British soldier who was, even though he was born in India, he's British, who was part of the takeover for Myanmar and and Burma, the Burmese people, right? And he starts, so he needs to be, as a soldier, this symbol of power, right? The symbol of a police state almost, right? Taking over colonialism. He is the face of that. He's the poster child. And yet he starts becoming obsessed and completely involved with how much he is mocked by the Burmese people. They laugh at him, they joke about him, they mock him, and it just like gets at him, and he becomes obsessed with it. Because why? He's supposed to be powerful, yet the poor people and the people who are being colonized find this hidden power in like laughter and in laughing at him, and it just starts driving him crazy. And so we'll see what happens, okay? So in Moulmein, in Lower Burma, I was hated by large numbers of people. The only time in my life that I've been important enough for this to happen to me. Okay, so let's highlight the only time in my life that I had been important enough for this to happen to me. So I guess if you're important enough, you have, the privilege of having people hate you, right? You know how they say, like, the bigger you get, the more haters you have? I was subdivisional police officer of the town, and in an aimless, petty kind of way, anti-European feeling was very bitter. No one had the guts to raise a riot, but if a European woman went through the bazaars alone, somebody would probably spit Beetlejuice all over her dress. As a police officer, I was an obvious target, and I was baited whenever it seemed safe to do so. Ooh, see? It's just captivating. When a nimble Burman tipped me up on the football field, and the referee, another Burman, looked the other way, the crowd yelled with hideous laughter. Okay, so this hideous laughter, let's highlight that. This hideous laughter that he's going to become obsessed with. And look, you can choose between green, pink, yellow, blue. It's fun. Okay. This happened more than once. In the end, the sneering yellow faces of young men that met me everywhere, the insults hooted after me when I was at a safe distance, got badly on my nerves. The young Buddhist priests were the worst of all. There were several thousands of them in the town, and none of them seemed to have anything to do except stand on the street corners and jeer at Europeans. Well, of course, right? They're being taken over by Europeans. So mocking and laughter and fighting back is sort of, right, their way of fighting back. Okay. All of this was perplexing and upsetting. We're on paragraph 2. For that time, I had already made up my mind that imperialism, and it is underlined here already, and you can click a link that tells you what imperialism is, was an evil thing. The sooner I chucked up my job and got out of it, the better. So by paragraph 2, we find out that he knows what he's doing is bad. He knows his profession is unethical, right? He knows it's evil, and he's like, the sooner I get out of this, the better. Theoretically and secretly, of course, I was all for the Burmese and against all of their oppressors, the British. Wait a second. Rewind. So here I'm going to highlight I was all for the Burmese and all against their oppressors, the British. Kind of ironic, right? You're against their oppressors and you're all about the Burmese, and yet you're an officer for the oppressors that is oppressing the Burmese, right? Interesting. So on Wednesday, we're going to talk about situational irony. There's your evidence. As for the job I was doing, I hated it more bitterly than I can perhaps make clear. In a job like that, you see the dirty work of empire at close quarters, the wretched prisoners huddling in the stinking cages of the lockups, the gray, cowed faces of the long-term convicts, the scattered buttocks of the men who had been flogged with bamboos. All these oppressed me with an intolerable sense of guilt. Let's highlight oppress me, because he just named a bunch of people who are being oppressed, right? Really oppressed, whipped, and yet it oppresses him somehow. This is interesting.